welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Up first is the first of three games. It is, Survive on Raft. And that's a very literal thing you do, and it is it is really what it says on the tin. You survive on a raft. Granted, the definition of raft seems to be a bit loose, since the raft can get really big, and it becomes less of a raft and more of like a floating houseboat of some kind. But I suppose vehicle designations are the least important part of the game. It's more about that survival aspect. As this is a survival crafting game, I guess this is what the genre is called?
More or less.
Anyway, so you are person X, let's say. Your avatar is a Afghan cop, ageless, sexless, genderless, personage of indeterminate age, ethnicity, what have you. Now, the point is, you are a pair of hands who needs to survive out in the ocean after a plane crash. And you do that by doing, the usual survival craft things, just on a raft. Yeah, it's one of those. It's Die Hard on a blank thing here. But yeah, it's like you gather resources, you build tools, you build, let's say items of survivability, like a water purifier or a fireplace. Yes, you do build a fireplace on a raft. One of the draws of the genre is supposed to be realism.
Yeah. Well, these rafts look like they're supposed to be fairly large, so...
Right. Let's just say that this game's taking some liberties.
Yeah.
It's it's definitely a simplified survival game.
Yeah.
If this were more hardcore, you'd be doing things like you'd have to dry out the wood somehow. And you'd have to provide like an actual fire source. You just need to have planks to start a fire. Like I said, it's definitely a more basic type of survival game. I mean, you can see like your inventory is pretty low. Building stuff is very general types of ingredients. Like you just need scrap metal and seaweed, and it's like you just need like this general stuff to make another thing. Which can be a turn on or a turn off depending on the person. And yeah, that's kind of the that is the game.
Pretty much.
You're supposed to survive as long as possible. I'm trying to never got near like an end game. If there, I don't see if there is one, but
yeah, from the looks of it, you just keep building. You just keep on building, and
yeah, it seems surviving. To be. Yeah, you just survive on a raft until you get bored. Like there doesn't seem any hope for rescue. Your antagonists, or outside of the usual crafting enemies of thirst and hunger, got to keep those bars up. Are sharks. Like rip-off Jaws theme included. About the only music in this game, by the way. Yeah. It's a very, its soundtrack is outside of, ripping off John Williams is
Just the ambient sounds of the ocean.
It's like ambient inclusion. Like, oh boy. Like, right. So that's the game in a nutshell. How is it to actually play? Well, I'm like, I feel like the biggest problem is in its conceptualization. Yeah. That is to say, you're surviving on a raft. You're surviving on a raft in the middle of the ocean. How interesting does that sound to you? I'm like, it's a rhetorical question. Don't actually answer. Like,
I can say that I can only stay focused on the game for about probably 15 minutes until I lose interest.
I could do it for, longer than that, but yeah, it's like this game did not hold my attention because surviving on a raft is really fucking boring because you know what one of the biggest biggest features, biggest selling points of your average survival crafting game is?
You can't really explore in this, can you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Exploration is a big part of the whole survival genre.
Yeah, it's like
there aren't a whole bunch of different biomes to get resources from. There's pretty much ocean.
Yeah, it's all ocean, all featureless ocean. By the way,
sharks are a feature.
Sharks and debris. Like,
I was very ready to say you can hop in the ocean, but you don't want to stay in there very long.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you hop in the ocean to make like thorns to keep sharks away, but I'm like, look, all you're going to be seeing is fucking ocean and the distant horizon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, that's, I get it's limiting by design, but unfortunately that design is too limiting. Like, oh boy, like
if you really like those Minecraft challenge maps where you literally start out with like a 10-foot square over nothing and one water source block.
That's about what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a survival game for a certain type of survivalist.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, it's not that you can't do interesting things with surviving on a raft. It's just, you're surviving on the raft in like the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. Some large body of water. With not a lot of features. It's like, now if you transported this to surviving on a river, like with rapids and shit, then we got ourselves a different game.
Yeah.
Point is, you are literally trying to survive on a raft. It's just, surviving on a raft is one of the most boring survival experiences you could probably have. Because, not just here in the game, but in real life, so much of that is just sitting in the sea. It's like, yeah, you do the survival things, but what do you do outside of that? And, as far as, the survival stuff keeping you interested, once again, this is on the simple side. So, it's not that interesting. Basically what it comes down to is, this is hands down the dullest survival game I've ever played.
Same. It's not a bad game, but...
Yeah, it's not the worst. This is actually a complete game that is... because a lot of these survival crafting games are still in, like, fucking early access. It's like... I think, like, I'm trying to think if The Forest has come out into a 1.0 state yet, for example. Or was that Rust? Point is, a lot of the, really, really popular survival crafting games, yeah, they're still in early access. This game is not. So I can give it points for being, a completed game. That is actually, content complete. And it's still getting updates. Like, it got an update a few weeks ago, giving some bug fixes and stuff. but it's like that seems to be the extent of it. Graphics, once again, pretty low poly affair, and once again, it's pretty simple. We're dealing with water, boxes, and so on and so forth. Not exactly a visual tour de force, but it doesn't have to be. Like the game plays well enough. It's just it's all fine in of itself. It's just, once again, the concept itself is dull as seawater. Let's see, pricing. I suppose here's another thing in its favor, as the game clocks in at $5 by itself, but you can get it with several packs. You've got the simulator bundle from IO Games, which includes forklift, logistics, logistic parking 3D, and let's see, road crossing and raft here. Like I'm not sure if that's 3 or I want to say that's at least 4, maybe 5 of these, which is going currently for $7.36. Probably the bundle to get. And it's got the IO gaming bundle, which has even more, which is clocking in at $27.48. The thing is, I can't speak on any of those other games because we haven't reviewed them. Mm-hmm. We've reviewed some other IO games in the past, but they were not survival games. They were simplistic puzzle affairs. As far as I can tell, this game isn't on mobile, or at least not yet. I could definitely see this game heading to mobile devices. Mm-hmm. It's simple enough, and maybe it would be better on mobile, given the difficulties in retaining interest over a long period of time.
Is the gameplay action simple enough that it wouldn't suck that way?
Hard to say, because the main
that's the biggest issue with mobile games, is that the input is usually bad.
Yeah, I mean that's the big caveat here, because the main input to collect is using a grappling hook. You use it to hook the barrels and the debris and all the stuff that's out in the water safely. And you also do things like fishing. The fishing's god awful on the PC version, let alone a mobile version. So yeah, maybe this wouldn't work in a mobile version. Now that I think about it, I'm just more like the time investment would be better. It's like the actual controls would definitely be worse. That being said, in terms of as a game, average. It's already detailed the problems with this game, but what it gets, if not right, it doesn't get wrong. And it's clocking in at a good price point. Buying this game for $5, I could definitely recommend it for $5. Yeah. It's even if it isn't your cup of tea, it's there's a refund period of 2 weeks on Steam, so you can do that. But it's also $5. Yeah, this game, if this is your particular brand of survival, yeah, this is definitely worth $5. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, a very cautious recommendation, but you kind of have to, be excited about literally surviving on a raft. Mm-hmm. Right, so that'll about do it for this review. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Galax will be reviewing Tetsumo Party.